A reading from the Holy Gospel according to St. John, chapter 3, verses 13 to 17. Passage taken from the Message version of the Bible. No one has ever gone up into the presence of God except the one who came down from that presence, the Son of Man. In the same way that Moses lifted the serpent in the desert, so people could have something to see and then believe, it is necessary for the Son of Man to be lifted up. And everyone who looks up to him, trusting and expectant, will gain a real life, eternal life. This is how much God loved the world. He gave his Son, his one and only Son. And this is why, so that no one need be destroyed by believing in him, anyone can have a whole and lasting life. God didn't go to all the trouble of sending his Son merely to point an accusing finger, telling the world how bad it was. He came to help, to put the world right again. Anyone who trusts in him is acquitted. Anyone who refuses to trust him has long since been under the death sentence without knowing it. The Gospel of the Lord. Reflections on the Gospel according to St. John chapter 3 verses 13 to 17. The cross is the sacred symbol of our faith. Yet, for the first 3 centuries after the death of Jesus on the cross, the Christians intentionally did not use the cross as a symbol of their faith. They were recognized in other symbols: the anchor, the fish, the loaves, the dove, the shepherd, but they were reluctant to depict the cross. It evoked the infamous death of their master, death reserved for slaves and brigands. And that was one of the reasons they were ridiculed by the non-believers. We proclaim a crucified Messiah. For the Jews, what a great scandal, and for the Greeks, what nonsense, wrote St. Paul in his first letter to the Corinthians. But the Christians were reluctant to translate this truth into a symbol. It was on 14th of September in the year 335, a huge crowd of pilgrims flocked from all over the world in Jerusalem. They celebrated the feast of the dedication of the basilica built by Constantine the emperor on the site of the Holy Sepulchre. On the rock of Calvary, the emperor placed a wonderful jeweled cross to mark the place of Christ's sacrifice. That day marked the transition to the worship of the cross. They started to manufacture it with the most precious metals, was embedded with pearls, appeared everywhere on churches, on banners, on the crown of the princes, on the coins. Today's Gospel speaks about the discourse of Jesus to Nicodemus, and it calls on us to look to Jesus who is lifted up on the wood of the cross. We are called to keep our eyes fixed on the love that God has revealed on Calvary. The cross is the antidote to the poison of the serpent, the devil, that can induce to kill the innocent. At every moment, we come across snakes that can poison our existence. They are the cravings for possessions, the frenzy of power, the desire for recognition. Only an eye directed to him who was lifted up on the cross can cure us of this poison. The cross is the reference point of each gaze of the believer who sees the total proposal made to him by the Master of life. Today's feast also reveals how God expresses his judgment. According to the criteria of this world, the cross is the sign of defeat and failure of a lifetime. According to the judgment of God, it is the supreme proof of God's love. The feast of the exaltation of the Holy Cross invites everyone to evaluate one's life based on the life lifted on the cross.